good. I can.
It's fantastic. I'm just happy.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Wow, he is here. Roll it. There we go. Hello, Mrs. Ryan. Get some lights going here.
Happy 10-10.
I know, 10-10. How about that?
I like it. It means new beginnings in astrology.
10-10. And for those at home, and for you, Mrs. Ryan, who probably doesn't realize it, this is our 111th episode.
That's awesome. That's very
Rick Overton is applauding for us. Thank you, Rick Overton.
We made it.
Congratulations.
And
Thank
what
you.
a good time to mention that our guest today is Rick Overton. Very excited to talk to him. Get this going here, Mrs. Ryan. All right. Put my glasses away already. But here we go. Like he said, the blue cards. Today is, welcome back, everybody. Today is Wednesday, October 10th, 2018. Like Mrs. Ryan said, my name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's Show. I already mentioned today's guest is Rick Overton, and we are incredibly excited. We kind of, in typical fashion, we just sat on the couch and shot the shit, and a half an hour later, all of a sudden, it's like, we should probably maybe do what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct, the Belden. The perils of podcasting.
That is a correct answer. All right, Mrs.
Awesome.
Ryan, blah, 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 blah. Okay. First of all, is there anything you want to cover up front for the hellos?
No.
Really? No.
No.
Ooh.
No.
Rose,
This
hellos.
part, no, I stay out of this part.
All right. Well, we've been doing a lot of old clip research, so we've been into our libraries a lot because we've been talking about Breakfast Club a lot because we've been brainstorming and trying to flesh out some ideas for this show, etc., pitching a show. In the meantime, we've been revisiting some old clips. So you want to just play one of our... This was the Luftgekuhlt weekend Breakfast Club, so it's a little bit bigger than usual.
Okay.
A little longer, a little bigger than usual, but this is what we do on Fridays, everybody. Roll it, Hal. It's a beautiful day. Should be a good run up. It's Luft Weekend Breakfast Club. You see Auto Kennel across the way. Somebody else, maybe even Kennel Action. Hard to say. Should be a great day. See you up there. Man. If this isn't the definition of something for everybody right here. Here comes Radu. Radu, right on schedule.
Whew. We made it. It's like almost 1 o'clock. Only a few stragglers left, including them. What's up, you guys? What's up?
Hello, hello.
Everyone's full. Everyone's tired. Enough. Oh my gosh. That was a fun one. See you at the bottom.
It's cool, Mrs. Ryan.
I love seeing all those people, and it was before George left, so he's there. It's very fun.
Do you remember? They all blend together, but every once in a while I'll watch like a big one like that. I'm like, holy smokes! I forgot. That was so cool to have everybody all there at the one, together at one time.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, they blend together for me too, but seeing it back is pretty fun.
All right. That was a fun trip down memory lane. I think it's time to check in with Steve Kaz, Danbury Chive.
Oh, good.
Right over there, and the East Coast feed. Roll it, Hal.
This is Ryan. There's a little East Coast feed coming from Aunt Kathy and Alan's backyard, where we got Alan right here. There's Mike and Annie back there. Taylor's birthday. Taylor, say happy birthday. It's Taylor's 30th East Coast feeding birthday. There's some.
Alan's birthday too.
It's Alan's birthday as well.
But not his 30th.
It's
not my 30th.
It's not his 30th. Just 31st.
This leg.
That leg. But everything else, not so much. Just want to give you some love from Brookfield in the quiet East Coast feed of New England. Love you guys.
I like the quiet ones with just the family. I think that's nice too.
I do too. They always go so many different places. I can't keep track.
Well, that was somewhere just in town there. They were just in Connecticut there, it seemed.
Oh, all right. Well, it's never seemingly the same place, whereas my life takes place in very limited different places. So, yeah, whatever.
It's all right.
Totally. I just really like seeing it.
We're consistent. We're pushing consistency right now. We're doing this. We do a lot of stuff. It's just this, the same stuff a lot.
I'm not complaining. That makes
it.
my brain go nuts, but I love it.
All right, Mrs. Ryan, it's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind. What's going on?
Well, it's been found that brain circuits for successful emotional development are established in the first year of life.
Okay.
So sometimes when you have to redo some of your systems to find out where your mental health stems from, you have to go really far back.
Oh, okay.
Heads up. But
sorry.
It's a good thing to keep in mind that it happens really early. So that's the foundation that we all have.
Is this the type of thing that sometimes, we often don't have memories of it, or rather, we often can't access memories of it, but sometimes hypnosis and other things like that, they can get in there and, access stuff that's locked away that we don't necessarily have the keys to.
Yeah,
Is that right?
those are mind tricks to relax the brain, to allow those emotions to fall out. So that's where a lot of that old stuff comes from and pops through, and it's like, I didn't know about that, and it's like,
well, how would one access it without that stuff, or is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's a lot of people have different...
Knowing that that's where the problem is great, but then what do we do?
You can either sit and think about it really deep if something's bothering you and really get to the root of what is the trigger? What is still bothering me about whatever.
I'm a big fan of that, spending time up here with yourself.
It's just, I liked the concept that it does go that far back. It's not something to poo-poo. It's a big deal. Emotional foundations start really early, and you could build on top of it from when you're a year old. So if you had a weird thing happen when you were 2, it's in there. Go back, look at it.
And you never know what the building blocks and the things are being built off of.
Yeah.
To your parents, it may be that was a thing that we swept under the carpet because nobody wants to talk about it. But meanwhile, to the kid, that may be a fundamental building block of their life.
Totally. So
and not even know it.
Totally, and
the parents are like, "What's wrong?" Remember that thing? That thing you fucking don't talk about?
Yeah,
that's what happened.
It's embarrassing to you. It was
trauma,
phically traumatic to my brain. Whatever.
Sure, to anybody.
Have a look. So
Have
whatever.
a look. And poke around.
That was fun for today's morning. But on that line, today's apparently Mental Health Day.
Yes, I read that.
So nice to keep in mind.
I read that. I wish somebody had told me.
I know. Heads up. Well, for everyone, and to make this a little bit more evergreen.
Shows my support group.
So to make it a little more evergreen, there was tips to just kind of improve your mental health, but more so like your attitude, like improve your attitude and improve your outlook and like just basically be happier, but like reduce tension and stress. Totally. So I'm going to make this an evergreen thing. The tips are improve your diet and start moving. That does not mean necessarily like eat organic all the time. It means like
it also doesn't mean you have to go to the gym.
Totally. So just have some mindfulness.
Those things
about
scare
what you're
people,
doing.
scare regular people who don't want to actually change their diet or work out. There are things you can do, very modest changes you can do that can affect your life greatly.
Totally.
That are easy that people can do.
Someone asked me one time, like when I was like eating weird food and they asked me about it and I was like, what do you really want to eat right now? It's not kale, which is what you're making yourself eat. You want peanut butter. So sit down for an hour and eat a jar of peanut butter. And sometimes your craving will disappear for years.
Yeah, for one.
But
don't judge yourself for it. Give your body whatever the hell it wants.
Don't feed that
something like that
emotional trauma under how you're feeling. Like, don't make it about that. So
right. Ideally, you're going to figure out what the hell it was that made you want that peanut butter in the process.
But halfway through
the jar,
you know what I'm saying?
Like
you're going to really...
If you're doing it right, it's going to remind you what the hell...
If you're doing it mindfully, halfway through that jar, you're going to be like, wow, that's a lot of peanut butter. Why am I still eating it?
But and what is actually making me crave it in the first place?
So
so-and-so never loved me. Whatever it is.
It can go dark, whatever it is.
Sure.
Start moving can be just like do your laundry, get out of bed, make your bed. Like it can be simple things.
The Apple Watch, while I'm not a fan anymore, when it first came out, this is one of the things I still am greatly appreciative of. That simple just get up and walk around thing. It taught me that when we're going to go sit down to, you had gotten me into a habit of when we're going to go watch a movie, like, oh, get everything you fucking need for 2 or 3 hours and bring it with you and park on the couch. Nowadays, I travel light. If I have to get up 6 times to go to the kitchen, that's great for me. I have to get up 6 times and go to the kitchen or wherever or whatever. I use those as opportunities to not go to the gym. But I'm crazy more active in my regular just run around, walk around lifestyle.
Yeah. I find that letting me think that way helped me. So look at your diet, start moving, reduce your vices.
By the way, we're not telling people not to go to the gym. We're just saying if you're one of those people who fucking, I need to, or I have a membership, but I never go, whatever. There's other things.
Moving around looks for you, like whatever. Reduce your vices. So like.
Dependency in general.
Totally. And that's all. For some reason, to me, it was like a big like aha moment. But. Well, because
good. That's
it
great.
all
That's
comes
wonderful.
down to like looking at what you're putting your attention on. So if it's something that you're going to beat yourself up about, then that's not awesome for your person, your human. Like
thoughts become things, all of those things. If you're going to beat yourself up in your thoughts, you're going to beat yourself up in your life.
So if you're doing it, why are you doing it if that's the consequence? So
do you want to do it or not?
Yeah. And that's literally, you'll find that when you ask that of anything, you'll get the answer. So have a gander. Prioritize rest and sleep.
Yeah.
Get a dose of nature. And reach out when you need help.
Do you know what all of these things say to me?
Mm-hmm.
Take care of yourself. Put your oxygen mask on before the person next to you. It's that simple. Take care of yourself. Whatever that is. Be selfish. Just do it for the right reasons. And then it's not selfish. You're making the world a better place. And you're showing other people that it's okay.
Yeah. It's a hard concept to wrap your...
Rick Overton's at least thinking about it.
It's a hard concept to...
It's interesting, what they call the enlightened self-interest. There's a phrase to describe
enlightened
that
self-interest.
phenomenon. You know, the people can Ayn Rand it a little bit and take it way off the map into another zone of just me and nothing else, and then other people can take that same philosophy and turn it into, because one person does that because they didn't want to change. They just wanted that one thing to work while not changing. The other one is, no, I see my entire way of being isn't working anymore, and I see the sense of being a flat-toothed mammal and herding up with the rest of my species.
Yeah, the system isn't working. I see a different way. Interesting.
It's okay to chime in with that, right?
Yeah. We're thrilled you're here. Again.
Chime in whenever you like.
I love your outfit. I can't wait till everyone can see
I
it.
know.
I'm really enjoying the conversation.
Oh, good. Well, we'll talk about that more because it's
Absolutely.
all about just mood and like that. To me, that's why like comedy was a big deal for me when I was first sick because I was so sad and depressed. It was
Yes,
like,
you were using it as a state changer. You
Yeah.
were trying to change your own mental state.
yeah, I had to. So thanks, buddy.
There's a lot to be said about this too. I mean, you are what you eat. You are what you are around. So if you're depressed and you were trying to lighten your load and trying to make yourself laugh, you weren't listening to Sia and watching horribly depressing movies and you know what I mean, and just
Right.
going into that place. You were like, no, I'm going to put on Netflix on just random comedy specials and find a bunch of stuff I haven't
I
seen in
switched
a long
gears.
time.
I stopped watching stuff I had been watching routinely and like murder shows I love, but like I don't watch those
That's
anymore.
right. You got off of the
So,
Discovery ID
it
and
really
you got
was
onto
like
Comedy
it's-
Central and stuff.
It was like its own addiction that I had to break. So it really does impact your mood. So heads up for
That's
Mental
right.
Health Day.
Bravo.
Thanks. I credit you. Okay. Biodegradable, self-destructible, implantable gadgets have been created that wrap around damaged nerves to make them healthy again.
Whoa.
Yes.
I may have a sister story to this, but mine may be more colorful. In a related story, Suzanne Summers has grown her breast back.
What?
This is true. I mean, through a lot of, I don't want to say controversial, but ahead of its time processes.
Okay.
And it seemed to be a bit of, I don't want to say stem cell therapy, but it was in the neighborhood of stem cells because what they did was she took injections from different parts of her body. They took the material out, processed it, so they took only the good material, what's left, and put that then back in, as in like, oh, any cells that weren't stellar cells got weeded out, and then they put the stellar cells back in a different part of her
And
body.
it's working. That's awesome.
It
One form of
worked.
technology.
It worked.
One form of
This was
technology-
years. This has been going on for a decade.
That's right. One form of technology is roughly 40 years old, and the other is billions of years old.
Yep.
Stem
Yeah.
cells have been in all kinds of life forms.
Yeah,
So
I think.
had a lot of practice at doing it. Whatever it attaches to, it just converts into. It's like Zelig.
Yeah. It's so exciting to hear success stories because it's one of those things I feel so bizarre talking about it, but like
Joe
I
Rogan
know that's
also
what
with
I'm
his
doing.
shoulder. He's got a lot of tears and issues with his
Yeah,
shoulder, and
he
he
said
talks
that
about
was-
stem cell shots that he gets even just last week, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's what's been keeping him going. And you talk about a physically active guy whose shoulder is not in danger of falling off. That's
Yeah.
the guy.
It's the way of the game, and like that's why I think going through all my stuff, like, and I've said over and over, like a lot of my symptoms are like what people that are pregnant experience, like feet growth and hormones, and so I know it's all connected, and so that to me, there's so many things about like the reproductive system in women that like restarts your system and gets it back on track, which is
Right.
what this stuff kind of sounds like. If you do it the right way and if you use your mind to like make things grow the way that they're supposed to, which is like stem cells, whatever.
This is belief based, I believe, too. I mean, this you have to, just like a lizard who grows his tail back or whatever, you have to, believe that this stuff is even possible in the first place.
Yeah, you do. And that's
It's
just
not take a pill. This is like you got to
Right.
do it up here first, and then magic can happen. What I believe.
You get down to ultimately how you want to live your life, and is it being devoted to the pill god? Like, no, I don't want. I was on stuff with shots and stuff. I wanted to be able to get in the car or get on a plane and go somewhere and not have to have the rigmarole of like all my stuff. So it's like there's a lot of ways that works itself out, but like. To find out that they're working on biodegradable, self-destructive, I mean, it sounds
It's very cool.
crazy, but if it works, like cool, because they
100%.
use electrical impulses, so it sounds similar, but blah, blah, blah. And then the last one, Americans, millennials specifically, are also being tied to the decline in American cheese.
Oh yeah, I read that too. I don't think American cheese is going anywhere.
I don't think it's going anywhere, but it's not being
Truthfully,
used
and
as often.
Here's what I'll come down to. I like American cheese because I really only put cheese on things like that is melted, and you get a better melt. If you're going to have a burger, cheddar, Gruyere, all these things, I'm sure they taste great. But a better melt is the American cheese that just it just happens. And it doesn't become clear or any of the other stuff. Speaking of chemicals, exactly, yeah.
That's the article I
Velveeta
read
and all
too.
that.
Here at the lab, we've come up with a perfect melting material.
Your cheese goes bad, not ours.
NASA was supposed to shield the capsule, and it turns out the capsule melted. Wait a second, I see American cheese written all over that wreckage.
And that's been What's Going On. Good job, Mrs. Ryan.
Thanks.
All right, let us take a break, and when we come back, Rick Overton will be in here.
Oh, good.
All right, more to come, more after this. We will be right back. And we're back on that note, Rick Overton. We're talking about, this came up very randomly during the break, and then that spawned in a very long conversation. Both of our fathers passed away when we were 18. That's an interesting way to start.
Well, I didn't know we were going there.
Welcome back.
Okay.
No.
Let's start
where
with
it
that
started,
then.
though.
Okay.
That's
all
what
right.
happened.
My dads
my.
both departed when we were the age of 18, you and I. It was 1972.
96.
Was for me, I was 18, just working at Chrysler, and got the news at work. Dad
You were
was
working
gone.
at Chrysler?
Yeah.
My dad died, and I went and worked at Saturn, the car GM. How funny! Isn't that weird? That's how I met my best friend, who was the guy in that East Coast feed, the guy in the backyard.
Yes.
He
the
worked
car
at Saturn
guy with
back
all the
then.
Porsche people there, right?
There you go.
Oh wow!
Isn't that funny?
Isn't that
Small
something?
world?
Small world indeed.
Rick Overton, it is a genuine pleasure to see you again. I would say meet you, except I met you here last week.
Yeah, it was great. Great to finally sit down at this piece of American history. My mind is blown.
Was Letterman a thing for you? I mean, you grew up loving comedy.
I did one in 1984, thanks to the recommendation of Robert Klein.
No kidding.
Yes, that's right.
How was it?
It was okay, I thought. Went pretty good. I was a little too political. I came later to understand. And
Is that right?
yeah, I was.
What year did you say?
84.
84. So it would have been the same microphone and everything. That's so funny. You were actually sitting there back in the day.
Yeah. So I'm really.
Robert Klein.
Robert Klein gave the word, and so that helped get.
He
me
had
in.
the power to do that.
He had the power. He is. I just saw him yesterday. Had lunch, and he's working on Will and Grace, and he's great on the show. He's
Oh,
a
my
great
gosh.
actor. There's a big inspiration to me, and I told him so that I'm very grateful to his influence on me to think that I can also do acting while doing stand-up comedy.
Well, then what's your history? How did you go back with Robert Klein? For me, it's I Can't Stop My Leg. You know, when he's doing the harmonica, and the whole thing, and SNL, and maybe even SCTV before that. I loved Robert Klein. How did you?
From the earliest days, all his earliest albums.
That's it.
Yeah, Child of the 50s and stuff like that. I loved that he took that punch style from the older school, but did the hippest material.
Yeah.
With that as the delivery system to get it to people. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, is you brought a little tradition with then upgrade, you know. And he's a great character actor, and he does. Look at his IMDb; it just keeps going.
Well, yours too.
Well,
I mean, that's the
part
both of you.
his
You guys are
influence,
probably
you
in
know.
competition there.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I would never think that we would be in for the same thing, but I would love to be in a project with him one day. That would be great. Hint out there.
Yeah.
You brought up the IMDb, so I'm going to talk about it just because it's nuts. I know you from so many things, but really, when you go down the list, it's ridiculous. And I don't want to go down the list, but I was really blown away at how many things that I know and love that you were a part of. Does that ever meet? Do you hear that a lot? For one,
Anyone who knows my IMDb, sometimes they will comment on the amount of stuff that they weren't aware of when they thumb through it a little bit, you know.
do people? Seinfeld probably, right? They think Seinfeld. The Drake, ladies
They're
and gentlemen.
the Drake people.
Love the Drake. Some people not so fun. I love the Drake.
Hate the Drake, love the Drake. Just keep saying the Drake till NBC starts coming this
spin-off.
fall. The Drake. You love him or hate him, he's on this fall.
After Will and Grace.
And then this morning, Mrs. Ryan actually got up early and did a little bit of show research, and we watched Groundhog Day, one of my all-time favorite movies from the late Harold Ramis.
It's a film you can watch over and over, but
I feel that
Oh
everyone
my
should watch that at least
gosh.
once a year.
Well, you get something new from it every time you see it, is the thing. And it's a story about redemption, and it's a story about reincarnation, and it's a story about everyone gets a chance. If even the most irredeemable people can, if they want to, find a way out. I mean, he had to want to find the way out for it to work. And I think there's a parable in that for what's going on today in this world, is the people who do and don't want to change. They don't think, and that is the curse of pride. You know, that is why pride is a quote unquote sin. It's a sin because it makes you cease taking valuable notes that would be helpful to you. You shut off data supply. You're simply favoring your desire for a thing to be a certain way rather than whether it could possibly be that way. And it's supposed to be just because you say so, because you're raised to go. So the trick is, if I just go, so I say so, you better watch out because I say so. And then they'll all back off. And that's bully training. It's the logic of a bully, is thinking, how do I learn to use this as a manipulative tool? And the manipulation is supposed to keep me safe because I don't have any answers. And I don't want anybody to know that, you know? Pride is a sin. And it's built into almost everything. It's like a barnacle. It'll stick to a boat. It goes to anything below the water level.
So when he sheds that, the character, everything starts to unlock.
Yeah. That's the thing. When
It can
Bill
happen that
Murray
easily.
dumps his pride because it kept not working, and it has to come from a sort of pragmatic start. We were talking about
And it
mental
doesn't
health and
matter
everything
which
like that.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking everything has a logical route. Calling it chaos just means no one wants to bother to look into it.
It's too crazy. Too big.
Too big for me to
Too
look
frantic,
at.
yep.
I'm tired. I'm sticking the flag. Universe ends here. It's always exhaustion levels mark the rings of the tree of growth, you know.
Yeah. It's true. Even with individuals at every level.
Yeah, sure.
As above, so below. No, I mean at every level.
Yeah, the strata of what you figured out, you know. I mean, you can use religion as a parable, as an analogy for it, for the layers.
That's all
of
it
things.
is an analogy.
That's all it started out as, you
That's
know.
all it is.
Yeah.
That's why they're all the same.
They run like 1 hour procedurals. They use a lot of the same basic archetype characters.
This is how I made. This was my career. Okay, go ahead, lay it on me.
Procedurals.
Those type of episodic procedural, The Practice, David E. Kelly type shows.
You bet. That was it. There's a formula to it, and
Yep.
they all follow it. And the guy you're supposed to follow, they killed him, but don't worry, be like the guy they killed. And a lot of the models of revenge and things like that. And it's also like a sitcom in the sense that you can hear the different writers' voices in the gags. Like
Totally.
when one character says something in the sitcom, and you'll hear the one writer who's sitting on it go, ah!
Well, somebody had to do it.
Please, crowd, laugh with me. I'm
Somebody
just
had to do
hanging
it.
on here. And
It's my last week as a staff. We'll see. Am I getting make pickup?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez Louise. It's hilarious. It's what you guys don't go into on that show.
What's
on that show, they don't. That's a different side, but I'm switching gears. I'm such a mess.
No,
Well,
you're awesome.
people say, how dare you speak of these ancient texts in that tone? And there's people that can go, how dare you talk about housewives of Atlanta that way? There's people go, they just hit your religion center. And they jacked the data in and just loaded the whole thing with the show.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you go to your religious war, it'll be over that show. They're able to fill the religion center,
Yeah.
with that much belief.
Well, you can fill anything with anything if someone's going to let you fill their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I find that once I took control back of my time and my brain and whatever, that's when I started to figure out life, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an interesting gadget, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not the boss. It acts like the boss, and it isn't. It's a recording device.
Good for you.
it's
the
memory.
First, I call it the first iPhone.
It
was a hard drive, and it was basically...
That's what the iPhone is, an external hard drive.
It's exactly what this is, right? It's down here for me.
Yeah, your gut. And you figure that out when you do improvisation. I'm an improvangelist. I believe that is the way out.
Is that right?
Yeah. Right in the sense that I tout its value whenever given the chance. I will tell any young artist anywhere, hey, I'm just trying to get things going in town. I want to get acting work, and I go study improv. Yeah, but they don't pay and all that. No, that's not why you do that. They're all in there practicing to get acting work too. They also love improv, but it makes you way better in the room. You're way better in that audition now because you're charming right off the bat. You're making them like you before you're reading a goddamn thing.
You lose the awkward, right?
Well, you got to be comfortable in your skin up to a point when you're just a regular actor. When you're an improver, you have to abandon all words and just trust you're going to say the right thing out of the blue.
Is there a channel there somehow where you almost the belief you let go and you just, it's going to come, it's going to come?
Let's go to different people's belief systems and all say one thing. You want to believe it's a place within you, you can do that too. But I'd say it lives within the subconscious more than the conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I
Is that creativity in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's like different. It's XM radio, but it's different channels on XM radio. And it's having, in one part, the audacity to sort of, when you ask, I think when you make that eyes closed request for it to work, if you want to just live in the purely psychological world, you can say that it gave the mind permission to do a C-3PO battery recharge shut-off. Where it
Reboot type of...
shuts off against the wall there for a second. And then you realize...
Wall-E for us.
Right.
Wall-E.
Eva.
What they said.
That to me is one of the greatest movies ever made.
It's
for
very
all
hip,
of the same
man,
reasons.
About the slothy decline of man into these bonbons on chairs.
It's not that distant. It's here.
Yeah, just go to a mall.
Screens. Red is the new blue. Ooh, blue, ooh, or whatever. Ooh, red. Come on.
They Live. That's a movie that
There
needs to
you go.
be remade. I don't know.
John
Carpenter
Carpenter
keeps threatening to do it, and he won't do it.
You mean to modernize it? Because the movie
No one
itself
wants to
still
get
works.
behind it because it didn't make so much money to begin with. Like, that's not why
I don't
you-
think that's why. It's
Well,
a veil lifter.
Yeah, that too. And it was easier in '88 to do a cheap version of that movie. I think his mistake was playing the wrong room with it. That fight went to... I get the
You mean
fight.
going
The fight
mainstream?
is a parable. The fight was a parable for how hard it is to convince certain people to see.
Okay.
The way he did it, though, where there was a street fight with the two guys. Where are the sunglasses? You know that scene. It's like the longest pointless fight, and it turned people off.
the movie's not great, but what it says is awesome.
That's the thing.
So many.
Like,
so that's why maybe that's the reason to redo it then.
That's
but
the point.
Can
Maybe
we make
redo it
good?
to fix those parts there.
So, but how do we do it? Maybe we have a way.
Yeah, I might have to rename it.
They die.
Huh? What's that?
They die? Because They Live is the name of the movie, right?
They die. It's the sequel.
It's the true story.
Yeah. Well,
what's going on out there? I
Well,
mean, it's getting crazy out there right now. I mean, this
it's
isn't
always
even on
been
the card.
crazy. Everyone has a production facility at their hip, and now we're finally seeing how crazy it's always been.
Oh, I see. That's right. Now we're just seeing it. Okay.
You know, there were back in Mississippi burning days, and the kids getting killed in the mud there. That's in '62 or something like
Not
that.
that long ago at all.
No, but it was long enough ago that this stuff has been going on for some time. The Jim Crowism and all that. That's over 100 years. So when we are noticing more right now, the awakening is just awareness because of digital availability. The police crimes, these things against the people, shooting the people, whatever it is, all of that's been going on. Now we have proof. It's finally you have proof.
Right. There's proof of everything.
It's like a second court of law now. This second court of law that can on occasion make a bad call. It can on occasion take someone innocent and make things very bad. But generally a video doesn't lie about that shit. And you can look through all the typing and all the talk in the world. Just look at what they said in that moment.
It's
that
instant
kind of
replay for life, right?
That's the other thing. Unless there's a giant mag flash, an EMAG flash from the sun or some son of a bitch,
Something.
we will have that on a database that seems now to be infinite in its capacity. If it's infinite now, what will it be in 10 years? You know?
It was infinite 15 years ago,
Yeah,
20
it was
years ago when
infinite
we
15
watched
years ago.
Enemy of the State and all the movies,
Yeah.
way back when. And
But I mean,
Deja Vu and
its
all those.
capacity to hold all of that is a new phenomenon. You know? And I also think that when they talk about AI, watch out for AI. AI is only as malicious as the human who designed it.
Ooh, you
And
think
it's
so?
only
I disagree
people
with you
money.
there.
I think people with that kind of money, they go malicious with the technology. There are not a lot of people in the world, because the people with the most amount of money, that money comes from a malicious source.
Yeah, I agree and I disagree, though. The computers it comes down to the ones and zeros, and they don't. The thinking is it's Moneyball thinking. It's not emotional thinking.
I think we're being programmed to think that so some guy can sneak it in and you don't come looking for him when it went bad.
You think so?
Yeah. I think there's enough
Well, how do you
example-
do that?
Man has shown enough examples of its malice for it to be almost immeasurably presumed from that point on. And you are guilty till proven innocent at this point. Some of these laws are meant to make you stand there like a stalk of corn while you get harvested. And it's time to get serious about this shit, And one of the things is the awareness about that.
Okay.
And where our place is. You don't have the right to say that. No, I say it's time for us to have the rights to some of these things, I think. For our own survival. Survival makes you break previous rules. And now, environmentally, if we don't pull together, the computer won't have anyone to kill.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Nature is another computer.
We've been trying to tell people that forever. Everyone's talking
And it
about
has-
the AI,
it-
but
it's
look at
beginning
the
to calculate-
storms and the Earth's had enough.
It's calculating another set of answers now. It is drawing an AI-like answer. Nature is drawing this conclusion. I don't even know if you need the machine to do that now.
I'll give you that. I agree with you there.
And
Time-wise,
nature-
I don't think it'll have the time to get there.
Nature's been very generous with us. Nature has been a love parent for a long time before becoming a tough love parent.
You're a deep thinker, Rick Overton.
Yeah, way deeper than I
I'm
thought.
so fascinated by you
Yeah.
already, and I know we're just scratching the surface, but I want you to know
because
that.
of our talk in there, you seemed like you were looking into how the TikToks of the world are going and all that.
I am personally, yeah.
Yeah, me too. And I think we aren't alone. We have a lot of people who are starting to contemplate another way out. And it's, I think we have permission for improvisational thinking now. That's why improv really plays
Agreed.
its value out in so many different ways in your world.
Get out of the box.
Yeah, all the great America was an improv.
That's true.
All exploration is an improv. You didn't get a map to where you're going. You just got a it's totally wrong improv. It was India. We were in India for a while.
Sometimes we get in the car and drive. That's improv, totally. We don't know where we're going. Just find a road we've never been on.
Yeah.
See where it goes. Learn. Experience.
And so and improv by necessity makes you grow really quick. I think all evolution, all animals, the giraffe is the result of the improv to get the greenery up there. When the trees kept growing higher and higher, they had to evolve with the plant life.
What a neat thing.
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
an improv. The little short ones didn't get to eat that stuff. They had to go eat something else.
When did you start studying improv?
In one form or another, from the moment my dad turned me on to Jonathan Winters.
I love Jonathan Winters.
Yeah.
So it was a
obviously.
life thing.
He
yeah.
was the thing that bonded my friendship initially to Robin Williams, was my love and his love of Jonathan Winters.
That's right. Big fan. Well, he ended up doing the show. He ended up coming on the show with Merck, didn't he? Yeah.
Mork and his son, because you go in reverse.
That's right.
Merk.
Gosh. All right. So can you tell us about that a little bit? Because that was a golden time for television for people. I mean, that's the stuff that was going on television when I was a kid that made me want to get into television. Does
The
that make
Stick?
sense?
Do you know The Stick?
Mm-mm.
Everybody go to YouTube. Can you play it right now?
No.
Right. It's called The Stick. And the host gives Jonathan a stick and just goes, okay, go. Like, when do you see that now? Someone just gives you an object and lets you play and be 5
As in, like,
5
here's
minutes.
this item.
10 people, 5 minutes. 5 minutes of trusting that you don't have one written word that we greenlit earlier that our producers went through and fine-combed. I'm just going to hand you a stick.
What was it on? What was
I think it was Parr. I think it was Parr.
Wow.
And it might be Steve Allen, but I think it was Parr.
Wow. Did you did some writing? You did some late night writing too, mister.
Dennis Miller. I wrote with Dennis.
You won an Emmy for
Won an
writing
Emmy. I'm
with
very grateful for
Dennis
that.
Miller Live.
Yes, thank you for that, Dennis.
Which I want to be very clear, because the Dennis Miller Talk Show did not do all that great and was not all that
Well, the
long-lived.
network show had network constraints that HBO did not have. Once you let the staff write and Dennis go, then it goes back on track, you know.
Mm-hmm. The Dennis Miller Live show. Now, do you even know what I'm talking about? The
I
big
know
screen and all
of
that?
what you're talking about.
Before
Bill Maher
there
is
you
now
go.
in the same facility,
Oh, okay.
the same
Okay.
building.
Same everything. I mean, it's the whole thing. Same
He's
slot even.
doing what the other show was doing, kind of like Real Time was doing.
Oh.
Had guests, had a monologue, had funny photos, and whereas it would have been New Rules, Dennis had I don't want to get off on a rant here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. That was Dennis. Okay.
Yeah, and the news thing was the big screen and all that. But it was excellent. It was intelligent. It was just.
And the trick was we had to do it on a Friday live, meaning you had to watch everybody else's jokes because we have to cover some of the same topics. We don't want to rip anybody else's joke. Oh, God, no, that would have been the one I would have said. Oh, you bastard. You got it, you son of a bitch. You got okay. And it makes you look for the other angle. And there was great training to find the last angles left when it was sort of like a stripped carcass of a topic by the end of the week.
But is
all
that
the hosts were bashing it all week.
But that's why all of a sudden he's known for, oh, what a different voice.
Yeah.
Because you guys were putting in the effort to get
I
that
think
different voice.
sometimes a challenge forces you to improvise another way to make a better, unique thing.
Back when the late night show was first being developed with Merrill and Letterman, there was all sorts of things to keep them from being like Johnny's show. And it's all the things that eventually made that show great. No couch, no band, no monologue, all the things. It made them get outside the box. It made them improv the late night talk show and make something different. It was those restrictions that made the show that we all love. I don't know if you know that. You go ahead. You're nodding.
I know some of the,
I've
I've known some of the writers on the show, and so they would tell stories of how you find ways to work around, and you find a formula, and you work the hell out of that formula. You'll see a lot of returning. If it worked, that guy's coming back. So the good news is we got one that works. The bad news is you can burn him out. And did you have another guy ready when you burned him out? because you didn't work on the new guy.
Right.
You relied on the old guy.
Whoa.
Dennis didn't have guys show up so much. And no crazy guest guy would show up as a planted guy. He had no planted guys.
Okay.
He had his formula, and there wasn't that much time. You had to get through it.
Mm-hmm. The show was only a half hour, right?
Yeah, you had to rock it. You had to fucking rock through there. And that was a great interview. Okay, no, I'm sorry, we got to bump. I got to go with the photos. And sometimes you'd have to cut photos.
And there was no commercials, just like Bill Maher, but so he's running around the stage from the home base to the screen to the thing.
It's exciting. A live thing is so exciting,
and it's in the same Price is Right studio that all the stuff is
on Beverly or whatever. Okay,
but in the same studio, just like where Bill Maher and Price is Right and all the things are.
Got it.
CBS,
TV
by
City.
Fairfax.
Yeah,
right
Farmers
by the
Market.
Farmers Market. That's it.
Is that something you would do again? Did you enjoy that experience, the late night writing?
I did enjoy it. I like staying up on the topical events of the day. I always thought the guys had it pretty good, who could go off to their other lives, and if they think of a joke, you mail it and he buys it.
Yeah.
My buddy Chris Pinna did that a lot.
The fax team. We used to call the fax team.
Fax team. Chris Pinna was one of the fax teamers, and he would tell me, David used 3 last night or whatever. Good man.
That's so funny. I guess my reason for going even down this line is, in my mind, you should be sitting here. Like, you could be doing this type of, at the very least, a podcast. I mean, you did one for a bit. Why aren't you doing one now?
Well,
when it seems to be easier than ever to do one.
Yeah. It might happen again.
Okay. I want to, as a fan, I want to see one.
I got 50 down. It's called Overview. You can find it on Sideshow. I mean, not on Sideshow, on iTunes. You can get Rick Overton's Overview. And it's I got Jonathan Winters' last interview. I got
Holy
Robin
smokes.
Williams, Dom Herrera. I got Sugar Ray Leonard.
Wow.
Very interesting. Henry Rollins.
He's fascinating,
3
too.
hours of in-depth, heavy-hitting truth. And
he's a hell of a thinker, too.
he's a brilliant man. And an amazing artist. And so...
you mentioned Joe Rogan earlier. I put those two on... I put them in the same box somehow.
They're both like badasses who are super smart.
Intelligent
but they can
badasses, yeah.
beat your ass, you know?
Yeah.
Watching the two of them talk is like ping pong of brilliance of what's happening.
Yeah, and I don't know who could kill who.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Holy smokes.
Yeah, they're great.
I think that you should. I would like to. I would like you to keep me abreast on whatever happens with this, because if there's ever an opportunity to work on whatever it is that you do, I would like to work on that project with
that
you.
might be fun, huh? All right, let me noodle it around. I don't want to make any promises right now.
Me neither, but I want you to know that that's something I'd be interested in.
I accept the initial terms, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Can we talk about your shirt? Goldies.
Do
people know what and why this is?
Oh, which camera? Camera 1?
There we go.
That
Camera
one.
4 right now.
Camera 4? And so Goldies is the club in Showtime's.
Formerly
I'm dying
Showtime's.
up here 2 seasons. We made 2 seasons. We won't get a third. The numbers just couldn't get up to where they wanted them to be on a show that was based in the 70s. In the early 70s, in the beginning of the comedy boom in Hollywood. And
This is Carson has just moved out to Los Angeles.
he just
The Comedy
finally
Store-
set up shop from New York out of the...
The Comedy Store is raging, so to speak. None of these are the real places, etc. But we are covering that time period and those events, correct?
Yeah, and history is being a little bit amalgamated date-wise and all that, and blurred slightly just to make it work.
For story, sure.
And there is no Goldies. And people are saying, it's the Comedy Store. No. Goldie mentions to a comedian, I heard you worked at the store when you were supposed to be
does.
over here. And so, she lives in a universe with them. And we don't have an improv in this universe. It's Teddy's.
But in this universe,
if you
she
know the
is the
history of them,
Mitzi-ish type thing, and then you've got the
Teddy's is a little
improv-y,
bit like with the fire and all that. Yeah,
Right.
don't want to be spoiled. But amazing to see
Yeah, that's a spoiler.
the comedians doing such good acting work.
Yeah.
Did you
Agreed.
see the work from Kathy Ladman?
Everybody's great.
Everybody's
Eric Griffin's
great.
blown me away.
Eric Griffin is outstanding.
When Eric Griffin had his, I'm calling it the Carlton in the car, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air moment, when he kind of has his realization of like, holy fuck, the world is not, I'm not safe just because I'm funny. I'm black. That whole thing.
Right.
You really get to see that guy who we love on stage, we think he's hysterical, has got some chops. And all of these guys who are on the show have some serious acting chops.
Everybody
Tito Santino has got some acting chops.
Andy Santino's outstanding and a great comic, and I love the people who made the transition, like Robert Klein, great at both. Why not?
But Robert
Dom
Klein.
Herrera.
Dom Herrera's always falling off the bar
Ladman.
stool.
What?
Always falling off the bar stool.
Yeah.
On the show.
Yeah. And Ladman's amazing. And Judy Gold. Oh, what a turn.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Al Madrigal. Amazing. He's Shakespeare's
used to
Puck,
work with him,
He
too.
is
Absolutely.
so brilliant. I love that guy.
And he's right on it. He's one of the
Oh, I didn't know
writers.
that.
Oh, yeah. He's great. And John
you?
Daly.
How about you? Can we talk about you?
Oh, I'm very, very grateful to be this blended character of a little bit of DeCordova, a little bit of Macaulay.
That's what I see. Me, it's Jim
LaSalle.
McCauley.
Yeah,
For you looking around the set, you can probably tell. Obviously, I told you the Letterman stuff during the break. I'm a ginormous fan of the whole genre. So I've got a little bit of Johnny over here.
I see you're looking out at.
That's the
Hey,
idea.
I can see my home from here, and
Beautiful downtown Burbank.
Burbank.
That is actually one of Johnny's desk mics up there from the old days.
Oh, wow.
It's funny because that's one of the things your show and the There's Johnny both got wrong. I told you when we bring this show back, I want to be a consultant on it for their late night stuff because the show content was so good in so many places, and then me, the stupid autistic guy, is going, well, I could. Oh man, so close on the technical stuff.
Everyone has to bend just a little bit to make a show. A lot of people who were from the Comedy Store in the old days were angry about the things that weren't absolutely true. I'm saying, but they can't make a show for 50 people.
Right.
There's 50 of you, and
Right.
there's hopefully more than that out there. We gotta. And the problem was there were that many more of it out there. I'm hoping what this does is, somehow it gets a replay somewhere. It makes it to Apple TV with
This
2
is a
seasons or whatever it
streaming
is.
type thing for me. This is a thing
It
we
feels
should
like
have.
You want
it's
to binge
streaming.
it in a row on Netflix
Yeah.
or whoever
Yes.
gets it. Once it makes it its way to that, I think people will come around to see the work that, like Dana Gould and Andy Kindler and Paul Provenza.
I feel like Hulu has a deal with Showtime and somehow already. They're at least in cahoots
Oh, yeah.
where all of a sudden, if this were there, like maybe that could be a more manageable deal to be made.
I was raving about the show the other day because I'm such a fan of comedy and that, but I'm not like a nerd fan about stuff. I don't know details, but like I love the energy of that time, and that's what that show really captured for me. When I first moved out here in the late 90s, I spent a ton of time at the comedy clubs, and that one on Sunset that was a restaurant near Miyagi's, whatever, I forget the name, but like. It's a really unique way to experience a city, being part of that group and that kind of cultural awareness that comedians bring to the table. So being able to see the behind the scenes of it was so neat. And I really hope
Cantors, they did a great job with that
Yes.
set. That's a set. That's not Cantors.
Was it always
Really?
a set? Not even in the pilot? Because that looks so. I mean, that's impressive. Even the light
Beautiful,
fixtures
right?
and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
into
they
all
nailed
that,
it.
obviously.
They got it. The same plastic and all
No
that. The same
kidding.
colors. Those
That must have been
70s
cool to just go on the
orange
set.
colors and everything. Those weird rust color things everywhere.
Avocado
Yellows and
and
avocados
How
and mustards.
neat. That's really neat.
My childhood.
Really.
Well, anyway, so what the whole thing there was the segue to you are playing this Jim McCauley type, the booking character from the old Tonight Show, which is, this is my bag baby. This is the stuff that I'm into. How was that for you playing somebody who was, I guess
couldn't just be the one guy. I couldn't just be DeCordova, but I had a little bit of his voice.
Okay.
I had a little bit of that authoritarian, and he would read my set and look
Yes,
at
off
you like this, and he was a very poker player. Don't give you a laugh where it could be one. Doesn't give it up a lot. Mixed with the sort of openness and party head of Jim.
McCauley.
Yeah. So we had to put a couple of things together.
God, it's so funny. Did you see, and not to make any comparisons, but just because they're covering the same thing, did you watch Paul Reiser's There's Johnny?
I thought it was a good job.
Yeah, I did too. The opening scene of this kid going to the Tonight Show and being, through bizarre circumstances, being led into the set of the Tonight Show and then being locked in overnight. Yeah. Totally implausible. He's playing the drums. I said, "Oh my God, that could never happen." Everyone's saying, "No way, it's not
Fantasy.
possible." It happened to me, Rick Overton.
It
happened to me. I was through a crazy, bizarre set of circumstances. I was let into the Ed Sullivan Theater overnight, and you know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. It had me from the first 5 minutes, and then I followed the thing throughout. I wish it would live on. But what I was getting to was Angela, who's the boss. Tony Danza, the great Tony Danza's portrayal of Freddie de Cordova was, I thought, one of the best things about that show. He really, really impressed me.
I thought he did a great job.
Fair enough.
He was great. I think it's some of his best work. I think it's some of his best work.
I agree. Thanks for backing me up there.
I thought
it's a hard
shows
wheelhouse
like
to follow.
this are getting performances out of people that you just never seen. The same thing I thought on I'm Dying Up Here.
Mm-hmm.
People had no idea for some of these people what they could knock out of the park the way they did. And they were already fans for other reasons.
Mm.
Were they all stand-ups before they were cast on the show? Like Cheetos Andino,
All the
I
ones
know
that
it's
are
his
real
Instagram.
stand-ups were stand-ups before
They were
the show.
okay.
They didn't start because of the show. No one started because of the show.
Okay.
And the actors all did a great job.
Yeah.
Who were not stand-ups, and they're all just great actors, and we're doing the comedy. It was written good, funny stuff,
Comedy's still hard to do. Like, even if it's written well, it's still hard.
If it's written by someone who's done it a little bit,
Yeah.
it changes everything. The structure's different.
Mm.
You hear it different. There's a sort of raw something else to it,
So you're saying if it's written by a performer or just a writer?
A writer who's tried it and done it a little bit, you realize where you have to abbreviate. Otherwise, it can be eloquent, but
they're impressing
crowd's
the
gonna start
reader.
fidgeting a
They're
little bit
impressing
here.
the reader. Right.
Right, yeah. And I think the ones, there are some who can pull it off without having done it. But it seems like the ones who have some point or no stand-ups, so watch it. Everyone on that staff, whether they've done it or not, they've been around it. You watch what comics do. You see where they have to cut.
That's your whole life being around that whole thing. You watch that process.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like I said, I'm sitting here like a fan, talking to you. I hope that's okay.
That's always okay. A comic doesn't like someone who appreciates what you did, for crying out loud.
Well, that's just it. I hope that you
what's
realize
wrong
that's what
with
it
that?
is.
People we attach bad things to crazy stuff.
Well, we had Carol Leifer here once, and that's somebody Mrs. Ryan has looked up to her whole comedic life and your whole life, just whatever. She was sitting here, and then it turned into the Chris Farley show for both of us. Do you remember that time when that was awesome, and you were so good with? And watching it back, it was so uncomfortable, but yet I wouldn't trade the experience for anything because she got to have it.
You know who Elaine is based on?
Yeah.
I've heard this. I've heard this rumor. Who?
Leifer.
Really? I've heard that. I wanted you to tell it. They used to date, right, or something? She said something about that. She said something about that. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a great writer brain, and I really appreciate that about her. And like what you were saying about like people who've done it, like she's definitely done it, but she's a strong writer. So like I read her books a lot that are so good.
Yeah.
Because all of it's stories, like everything you've talked about and every show that you've done, a movie, whatever, like it's all someone's story. And it's all played around with a little bit to make sure it's not like, then Bill went over here on Sunday at 5 o'clock. But like, it's all that fun story stuff. So it's all the people that make the characters that make the stories great. I think. Am I on a tangent?
No, I don't know.
No,
I thought it was great.
relatability is what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
To be relatable. You like the character, you relate to the character. Sometimes you don't even have to recognize the character to relate to it.
Yeah.
You relate to it because you like it, because of the surprise or the elements you hadn't seen before. There's different ways to make, but you got to have something you attach to. A lot of shows now, they have a villain that is so interesting that the show's about, it's very hard. It used to be virtually impossible to sell a show about a villain.
No, Tony Soprano made the anti-hero.
And then they changed a little bit, and now you can have like a guy who does really bad things, but has one interesting part that can lead to it. Then it can exponentialize. It can go to, Game of Thrones, which is sort of Lord of the Rings if it was written by Gollum.
Do you do the Game of Thrones? I've never seen the Game of Thrones.
I've watched some of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Everyone says it's spectacular. It's just so
It's
it's not my
cinematic.
bag. Yeah.
It's a very epic, cinematic fantasy story that is extremely cynical. There is a profound, dark, nobody is completely good cynical angle to it that doesn't exist in Lord of the Rings. There's guys with little flaws, but they don't They don't identify with just sort of a vague definition of right and wrong.
Are you into the fantasy type movies, The Lord of the Rings and
Up
Game
to
of
the
Thrones?
point of where it plays as a moral parable, to where we're at today.
So Star Wars, all that stuff, then it comes down to
where
what the story
what
is.
is it saying to a younger generation about where the bar for good and bad is when you cross it, what it is, or what happened to you to cross it, why you crossed it, can you get back? There used to be a hero was defined in what they would call now simplistic terms, because a hero would just risk life and limb to save someone in a burning building or something like that. And now the modern hero is like
They wore white too.
Yeah,
In the old
sometimes they
days,
wear white
you know?
into a fire, and after Labor Day, which is
That's
a big no.
That's the biggest faux pas.
And the modern hero is a guy who's got gunmen after him, and he runs into traffic and goes, "Get out of your car! My mother's medicine! Get out of the car!" And he drives off with the guy's mother's medicine in the back of the car, and then, because the gunmen are still chasing in these 3 black SUVs, he drives head on into oncoming traffic to make them stop, and they don't stop, and they're shooting at him, and they're missing him, and they're hitting all the head-on traffic, and there's your hero. Yeah,
What
thanks,
movie- what
hero.
movie did you just
What are you saving us
describe?
from? What? Yeah, what are you saving us from? You just killed. It's like Superman, the new Superman. He gets angry, and he plows through people's property and homes. He just goes, and just grabs the guy and throws
That's
him
not
through
very
buildings.
Superman.
Well, there's people living in these buildings.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, these little children. Crib, bang, crib's gone. Oh, well, it was Superman, honey. He was angry.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
what
buy
happened
into
to
these. I don't do those movies.
Well, we're being shown a form of heroism that allows for a lot of collateral damage. And I wasn't raised on it, and it's noticeable to me. It's dramatically noticeable to me, the change, and I'm not sure how positive all of that is. And how what is its exponential influence on kids?
Yeah.
What's it going to do? What are they going to think later? How are they going to act now that this is the example?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're already seeing that. That's a whole, man. I understand why that would concern you. That would keep me up at night.
Well, this is, to me, that's a social phenomenon I'm noticing that is playing out in a business I am in the arts.
Well, yeah, I hesitate to even color it the same. I don't call those movies the arts. I know that they're made by movie studios and there are actors in them and there's talented people, creative people making them and everything, but I can't tell what they're saying, and I don't know. I can't really. I'm sure that there's a lot of art that goes into making the product. I understand that. I can't call the finished product art by any means. And I'm not trying to make a judge. I'm not, I'm
It's your
not
choice.
anti.
You get to, that's the part you get to choose. You can call it whatever the hell you want.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking for somebody to tell me I'm wrong, I guess, but I can't find.
Well, some art shows dark stuff, I mean, if you look through history, even recent European history, there were artists.
Well, I don't have a problem with the
In Western Europe.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a can of worms I don't want to go down. I don't know.
It's someone called it art, and you get to not.
I guess.
You get to call it your word, and no one can do anything to you about
Well, I
it.
would call that the cartoon, maybe the comic strip or whatever they call them, the comic book that whatever the movie is based on maybe is the art. And what the original story and intent was there, I would call that art. And then what is done later is a watered down, different thing. That's a money making. It's a different thing. It's a business. And there's nothing wrong with owning a business. There's nothing wrong with making money. We all need to do that. I'm just saying that I think it's more along those lines than art, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with it, but why are we calling it art?
Well, there's commerce involved.
Yeah, and you can sell shit, and there's nothing wrong with it. But why is it art? Is it art? I don't know. Now I'm making a whole thing.
Now, have you ever tried to do anything in art and sell it?
I don't know. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
What?
it's not easy.
What becomes of you? What is your label once you've done it?
No, sell out.
So no artist should sell.
I don't know. I'm ready to be a sellout. Let's do it.
Is there a way to not be a sellout and sell your art is the question. So you don't have a black and white labeling system that kills you in the interim.
I don't have any black and white anything. I just kind of float through with a childlike mentality. That's the truth of it, Rick. That's the truth. So I am one of those chaos theories people who is just like, yeah, no, that's crazy. You're going to kill yourself figuring that out. I'll be over here enjoying life.
I don't know how you could say that and also be as analytical about other things as you are.
Well, I'm a fucking weirdo. I really am. That one guy came in and called me an enigma.
I think you play it up like you don't look into it, but I think you know way more than you say you've looked into. I think you got, and a lot of it is intuitive and all that. And I don't think there's any harm, in possessing it rather than dodging it.
I think that what you're saying now is actually what I believe and what I say about myself, where I don't think I'm a smart guy. I don't think I'm all that talented, but I do think I am one heck of a channel and a very good whatever, receiver or whatever to wherever this stuff comes from. Because my idea is I don't think like, oh, I thought of them because of whatever. I go, wow, that was great. And I did all of these other things all based on their own. And then it culminated into this crazy thing that is way better than I ever could have dreamed of.
I would advise you ease up on yourself about it. Don't
do you think
label yourself, I'm just a this and I'm only a that. You know, you might knock off some of that.
Perhaps the just and the only is a good point.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know,
I don't feel that way, but I guess you're right. All of those things are part of it.
That's the seat. That's the seat, Commander. You are now in command of a starship. You have to.
It came back season 2 with a beard, just like that guy.
What do you think of the new? They're going to bring back Picard for the new series, the new Next Gen. They're going to do it with the same guys who did Discovery.
What do
you think of that?
I was never a Star Trek person. I never really got into it, but I have worked for Paramount, and I do have Star Trek stuff that's come into my life. The Next Generation was the one that I did understand and that I thought was of quality.
Very relatable.
The storytelling I thought was of good quality and of relatability. Yeah, whatever you say.
And evolution-wise, they were finally like at a place that was like with the early Starfleet was like, what are you looking at? Shoot back. Yeah, motherfucker, what? Say what?
They were so human, right?
Pew, pew, motherfucker.
Yeah. Now they're more observational.
And then this is much well, let's talk with this alien species. Let's not just pick a fight out.
Well, they would all rush to judgment, and then the calm-headed Jean-Luc Picard would, no.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold it. Weapons down.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. It's probably time to wrap it up, but I want to say something that I saw recently.
I just want to put a little note there. Everybody gets a chance to see a rerun of Blunt Talk. I worked with Patrick Stewart in Blunt Talk.
Really?
Yeah. I'm this... I'm the cuckold. He's
in
bed with my wife, and I catch him, and I hate him. He's a host of this sort of reactionary radio show and TV show, and I despise him anyway. And now I come in, he's with my wife, and I run to the closet, and I get this golf club that has a booty of a cow head on top of it. I'm gonna fucking kill you, motherfucker, with the cow head club. And he's like, oh, shit. And it's just so funny to see him go, oh, shit, and get out and run.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get out of the bed, I'm chasing him through Venice. And he jumps off the bridge onto a rowboat that his manservant has, and he paddles away, and I miss him.
What is this?
It's called Blunt Talk, man.
Blunt
it's like a hilarious... Patrick Stewart is hilarious on this show. He proves he is a comic master as well. So, I mean, it's a fantastic job he did.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, give him a shot, everybody.
But how about you?
We will watch it
give
before
him
you
a
come
shot,
back.
Patrick.
Give him a shot
Stewart.
for the comedy. Look how great he is at the comedy, too. Just to remind everybody, get him back into a Patrick Stewart mood for the show.
I want to, before we close out here, I know you were trying to close out with that. Tough. I was watching, I was a big fan of the show, actually, and I wish it was still on, but Paul Provenza's The Green Room.
Oh, man.
Love that show.
Well, boy, somebody made a hell of a cameo in that with the Richard Belzer episode when we had a...
Thank you, Doug Stanhope.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah?
Is that how that came to be?
He said, well, you know what? Those two should have a Belzer off. If it was up to me...
Well, because you were doing the what's his
no,
Rolling Stones,
Mick Jagger
Mick Jagger off.
Not Belzer off.
Yeah.
Mick Jagger. But I'm saying
But
Belzer.
with Belzer,
Because
with
Belzer
Richard
took
Belzer.
it. He's the black belt. I'm like I'm a Padawan. He's the master. No,
Well,
God, he looks. He
with
could
the two
do
of you in the
body
room,
exactly.
sure. Well,
He moves exactly like him. I was you know, I do the head. I do the head looking back at my ass from either side. That's it. I'm not even close to his, and I know where I just tank out. He took me round one.
I'm letting you know that it was so enjoyable, and it was just nice seeing you over there, because there were a couple different times where they would cut, and it was like, oh, look, that's so cool, because it seemed like there must have been fans of comedy in that audience.
Oh, lots of pals were in that. The room was jammed with everybody who almost knows everybody.
Okay, that's what it looked like, because it's just you cut around and it's everybody and Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, right.
But it was everybody. It was all of you guys.
Yeah, Gary Shapiro.
And Greg Proops was there, and I'm trying to think of just the people that I saw in the back, whatever. But what was the story on that show? Because I found it long after it was already off.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
It needed more seasons, didn't it?
I would like more seasons
I would like
now.
more
It
seasons
seems like we could just
daring,
put it on right now.
Innovative, and you just bust in. Like, it's the opposite of the way we do the thing here, or the way I did my podcast. Is they're mid-conversation. You start, and they're already in, like, they were already talking when you came in.
But it was physically
That's
set up
so
almost
great.
like the old Bill Maher Politically Incorrect. It was sort of like, oh, that's sort of in the round.
Yeah.
And, you know, the audience is all around, so everybody's just kind of in the thick of it, and you're just all sort of part of this conversation.
When
Someone had
was
to go
that?
take a whiz. Okay, go.
Oh,
Yeah. It was very, very casual.
When was it? 04 or
It
5?
was like 11, something like that.
Oh,
Okay.
really? It was more recent. Yeah. I hope
If anybody's out there, I would love to see a show. I would love to see the show again. I don't want to see a show like it because I'd love Paul to do it again. But maybe this could be your next show. Maybe.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Well, I'm gonna be. When is this gonna play?
Tonight.
It's tonight's show.
I'm gonna be up at the Throckmorton, the 142 Throckmorton Theater.
Okay.
In Mill Valley, California, for the big Thanksgiving blowout. I mean, not Thanksgiving. I mean, the Halloween blowout. The Halloween blowout at the end of the month here, and then I got a Thanksgiving show I got to do some words. But I'm gonna be at, and it's the place where Charlie Chaplin performed. Robin Williams and I would get up and do hours at a time of improv at this place. There is magic in those wooden planks. It's over a century old, and it is magical and amazing theater. We're going to have a great show on Halloween with Mark Pitta, and I'm going to be up there doing that. And then I've got a couple of things I can't really talk about.
Not yet.
Yeah. Because you know how
But
that
we'll
goes.
see a
Little
lot
fresh.
more. I'm
I'm
excited.
not done doing it. If that's what
Good.
you're suggesting, no, I'm still at this.
Some people are like, they take a break. Like, they have a really great show, like I'm Dying Up Here or whatever, and they're like, I'm going to take a minute.
You know what?
Well, if you're a regular on a series and you have that amount of pages in your head every day, your brain needs to decompress.
Yeah.
A little bit of not memorizing that much all day. Your brain needs to look forward a little bit. But then it kind of misses it. Everything that you complain about, you miss later.
Always.
You know, it's
Every
just a
time.
funny mechanism.
Wow, you are a delight. Would you come back sometime?
That'd be great. Thanks.
I would love it.
I would love
I
it.
would love it because
Thanks for having me.
I would love to hear some of your talk show stories because I feel like you're the guy who would have.
I only have a few
stories
shots, man.
set-
No,
No.
I don't have
I
a
feel like
shot.
you have a career where you have amassed tons of talk show stories, whether you
No.
told them or not.
No, I don't have a lot of talk show stories. That's what
Really?
I'm trying to tell you. I don't have a lot of talk show
How
shots.
is that possible?
Well, I think my politics kind of kept me out of the...
No. I don't.
Marketplace.
I want to hear stories that
Stories
happened
you
in
could
your
tell.
life that you didn't tell on talk shows. What you would call talk show stories that you
should have
haven't
been on a talk show that
Yes.
never got the
Yeah.
chance.
Yes.
Well, I got a couple of those.
Not
yeah,
goddamn right.
I bet.
No,
I have
that's
a feeling
no
you've got a
problem.
lifetime of this, so I'm
That's no
trying to set a stage
our
here
deal
for what we're
now.
going to
You
talk
got a
about
deal.
next
Bring
time.
it
You
back.
know what I'm saying?
It's a deal.
All right,
Cool.
Rick Overton, you are an absolute delight.
Yeah, it's right back
I
at you.
mean that.
Thanks a lot, both of you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Ryan, let's see. What do we got here? Tomorrow, I don't know. Let's see. I would like to give everyone some homework. Make someone smile. I know
like
that seems
that.
weird
That's
and that
good homework.
seems crazy. Make a stranger. I'm going to make it a little harder. Make a stranger smile. But it's not as hard as it sounds because we are in the car oftentimes and we're just sitting at a traffic light and you look over and you smile at somebody and they almost don't know what to do with it. They just like are taken and then they insist on smiling back. It's almost
It's
like
contagious. Their face does it before
but they'll
they
like
even
wait
know.
till you know, they're like staring at you, waiting for you to look back over. We
Yeah.
play a little game with it. We call it collecting smiles. But we are in this thing together, man, and it's getting crazy out there, and the earth is turning on us and everything else. And I don't know, we need each other. So hang in there. I love you, Mrs. Ryan. Friday we've got Breakfast Club,
Yay.
Newcomb's Ranch. We have
Thanks,
shown
Danny.
our love. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Freddie. Thank you, Darren. We will see you Friday. up at Newcomb's Ranch. 9 a.m. is when they open. We get there around then-ish. There's no set schedule. There's no set rally. But come on up, see some cool cars, meet some cool people. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love you, Mrs. Ryan. Let's have a great weekend.
Okay.
Love you at home. You have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
See you later.